All right, let's try to find out how much do we actually know about camera lensing, camera positions, and stuff like that. So this is an exercise I used to do when I was trying to learn about cinematography, and occasionally I still do it when I watch movies. I try to go like and deconstruct the frames, try to see what cameras they use, why they did it, and stuff like that. So here is a collection of some really cool movie frames. I think most of these are from Christopher Nolan, whose movies I love. And if you want to find any frames like this, because we will have an assignment on this, go ahead and feel free to use this this website called filmgrab.com. They have fantastic collection of frames, and unlike other websites, they basically have very limited amount of screenshots. So it's not like every 3 or 5 seconds, which is great. You can look at the frames and you can study them, and most of them look fantastic. All right, now let's go back to our frames. And here, looking at every frame, I will try to find out my camera position and lens that they used, right? So those two will help me to understand exactly like what is the technique behind those frames, and later on I can reuse it in my own frames, right? So for example, I can copy this one. Well, let's just actually copy a bunch of them so we could make a few studies simultaneously. So I'm gonna grab those, copy paste them here. Perfect. Just let's extend this area here. Okay, let's go with this
Basic
one
stuff
first.
in
So
Blender.
this is obviously the first
Obviously,
question I would ask myself. My camera level, right? So it looks like a heap level camera, right? I'm gonna just write here HP. Heap level camera. So I started my camera. Now I need to understand if it was obviously by saying heap level, I understand that this is a neutral camera, right? So it's not tilting up, it's not looking down. We're looking straight, but we're just lower the ground, lower the like around the heap level. And the next one would be figuring out the lensing, right? What lens did they use? And I'm looking at these lines which converge quite dramatically, right? Which gives me an idea that this is potentially a wide angle lens. It's not super wide. Again, look at this figure here. So this figure is of this size, and then the next figure, which should be relatively the same size, it's like this. So we're kind of having this recession in size, which is usually happening much more obviously when we have wide angle lens. So I would drop wide lens, right? So, and this is pretty quite enough and very useful information for me, because then if I want to do a frame like this, I will know that what kind of setup they used, and then I can reuse it in my own work. Let's look at the next one. So what do we have here? So when I look at this frame, obviously this is like an eye level frame, right? Again, it's a neutral eye level. Let's just drop EL. And then as a lens, again, it's quite dramatic, right? It's like you can see on the floor panels. This is the feature that wide angle lens has, so I'm gonna drop wide angle lens. Boom. Same here, eye level. This is pretty much the same. Again, the convergence of lines, as we see, it's pretty dramatic. This is an interesting frame. Obviously, remember, this is definitely a superior camera, right? It's basically us looking on the soldiers from above. And again, remember when we were talking about superior cameras, we were saying that superior cameras are dominating, right? We dominate over this crowd, and like Christopher Nolan and his photographer did the best here to kind of show that these soldiers are in danger, right? So something is hovering above them, and in that case it was a bomber or something, another airplane that would just about to attack them. So that's why they were like in so much trouble. This one is actually, I think it's another eye level, I guess, or maybe a little bit of crane, you know. Again, it's the horizon line is slightly over. No, it's actually, yeah, it's pretty much eye level, right? So as you can see here, the guy is here. And again, with the converging lines, we can totally see that it is a wide angle lens. But also, sometimes you don't see the converging lines. How would you go about it, right? I don't see any frame. Like, maybe this one kind of looks like there's not much information going on. So, like in terms of perspective grid, how would you know that this is a wide angle lens? Remember I said wide angle lens is the one that we are inside the action, right? So this frame literally looks like we're standing behind that person, right? Like literally, it just like when you look at it and you think about it, that we are inside the similar scene. We're just looking, we are behind the guy. Same over here, right? It looks like we are one of the persons in this room. Obviously with neutral camera, with knee level cameras and hip level cameras, we are not a person, we're just a camera observing it. And this is pretty much the same. We could be another person looking at this frame. With aerial shot, it's a crane, we know. And have a look. Yeah, this is another one, wide angle lens. Again, eye level camera and perspective lines actually show us that we are using a wide angle lens, which means we are inside the scene as a person who's observing it. So the rule of thumb, wide angle lens is observing. You are an observer inside this environment. Opposing to long lenses, which let's have a look at this. These are basically the collection of long lenses. Let's just copy paste it here. Okay, so let's first define the camera level. So this is probably an eye level as well. So it's EL. And with the lens information, you can actually see all, even though it's an eyes, but all the perspective lines, they're compressed, right? They're quite compressed. And also just visually, this is a picture that we are observing from a distance, right? We kind of zoomed into the picture. We're not like literally standing next to them. We are like quite far away. They're fighting and we're seeing this fight happen. So this is a long lens, which we'll call LL, right? Same with this one. This one is an inferior camera, right? It's a low angle camera. And you can see why they use that, because this is where this character has the power, right? It's not necessarily means it has some evil power, but he's just about to make a decision, and this is where we want him to dominate, because he's gonna make this decision that we probably don't know about or something like that. This one, another eye level, but again, this frame looks like, even if you look at the perspective lines, they're almost like parallel, which basically tells us straight away that this is a long lens camera. And also, like, just look at the texture here, it's quite flat and compressed, but also just visually it looks like we are maybe 20-30 meters behind this guy. We're kind of observing the scene, but we are far away from it. This one is a very interesting frame because it's a long lens. You can tell it, like, look at the perspective lines, they're all like not really converging anywhere. It's a very long lens, but we have a low angle. And why do we have a low angle? You probably already know it, because we want to be dominated by this moment, right? And this was one of very suspenseful moments in Inception, where we are worried and we feel small. We feel like basically being dominated by what is happening here. That's why we're tilting up, and we're seeing that event, that car falling off the bridge from below. This is probably at a ground level or knee level camera. Again, it's a neutral camera, and it is also a long lens because we are quite significantly far away from them. So there is this dream moment in Inception. This is not real, so we are not a person next to them. We're not their parents. We just a camera that's like is observing neutrally what is happening far away where these kids play with each other. With this one, it is obviously eye level. Maybe a little bit, I don't know, it's hard to tell. Maybe it's a little bit superior, slightly maybe, but it's hard to tell. But obviously this is a long lens because you can see how everything is out of focus. Everything back then is compressed, right? So that's why it is a long lens, eye level camera. And as a shot framing as well, like when I look at this, we probably should do it again. So every one of those frames, like this is a wide angle, a wide shot, right? Because we're seeing a little character and we're basically taking it wider. This is a full shot. We're seeing characters in full size. This is wide because we're just seeing a wide. This is medium because we cropped in up, just like really up to his chest. This I would say this is a close-up because we're seeing his face. This is a close-up. And this would be a full one too. So when you do your assignment, which I will repeat in the end of this lecture, I would love you to pick up a frame. Ideally pick up like obviously more than one frame. 9 I would say is a good, you could fit 3 and 3, and then analyze it. First drop and figure out what is your camera level position. Let's say it's a hip level, neutral camera, and then it's a wide angle lens, and we have a full framing, right? So that would be one of the exercises. But obviously we will be seeing a picture here. This would be when you will have a reference, and then you will see the picture and you will do this exercise. And another exercise I want you to do where I will give you a frame with all those ratings, and I would want you to come up with a frame for me, which basically what I did again. Let's just recap it. So first assignment that we will have to do, you will pick up a frame like this, like 9 of them, and then you will have to describe it for me, right? Like this. You'll have to go and analyze it for me. And the second part of assignment, I would love to have 9 empty frames. I will prepare these writings for you, and you will have to find a frame, or ideally sketch it out. Let's just sketch it out because then you will actually practice and we will see how well you understood it. And in terms of the technique we're gonna use here, it could be very rough. Like if it was a face, don't go into anatomy and all that stuff. For example, boom, we did this, and now this becomes an inferior, low angle, wide angle lens, close up, right? And then we will move on. So by doing those 2 exercises, I'm hoping that you guys will be able to practice by looking, observing, and analyzing, and also then we will move on and do something using our knowledge. We'll try to figure out if you can really sketch it, and if you really learned all those camera specs that we kind of mentioned before. It's gonna be fun. I know it's gonna be difficult, a lot of confusion, but once you understand it properly, trust me, you will come out as a much better artist who understands cinematography, which is my goal here.